Welcome back again, ladies and gentlemen. Paul Chamberlain, the Air Force guy, here with Everything RVs podcast. And today, our podcast, we're talking RV towing safety. You know, this is a very critical part of RVing for sure. You know, I bring you this information free of charge, and I'm able to do so because of my sponsors. And my sponsor for this podcast is Extreme Heaters out of Georgia. And I'll tell you what, they have the ultimate in freeze protection for your RV or your boat. You know, if you are wanting to use your boat or your RV in inclement weather, that is the solution so that you're not having that freezing or frozen pipes and water lines and so forth. So check them out. I'll have a link down below, as well as a discount code. Discount is good through January 31st of 2025. So this would be a great Christmas present for a friend or family member that may have a boat or an RV and that they're using in this cold weather. So let's get on with it. So I do appreciate everybody listening and watching across the different types of streaming services or on YouTube. And if this is your first time listening, first time watching on YouTube, please do subscribe. I appreciate all the likes and comments. Those do help the algorithms and getting things out to other people. But this podcast is all about bringing you, you avid RVers or you newbies getting into the RV business, the information that you need so that you can go out and make memories that last a lifetime. Now, I know that the towing, I guess this towing thing, it's all over the place. And understand, listen, I'm here just as a messenger to give you information that I feel is important to you and your family, for you to be towing safely down the road, because it's not only about you and your family, but it's about everyone else on the road. Now, I do realize there are all kinds of other people out there that are telling you that you can tow with vehicles that aren't really rated to tow what you're asking to do. And, you know, it is what it is. You have got to take this information, do any other educating yourself through other people, whatever the case may be, other journals, wherever you'd like to go ahead and get your information. And then you make a decision for yourself and what you feel is best for you and your family. Again, all I do is provide the information. What you do with it, that's a totally different story. Now, we get a lot of people that always come in asking what their vehicle can tow, whether it be a minivan or any of these vehicles that have a 3,500-pound tow rating. What you have to understand with these smaller vehicles that have a 3,500-pound tow rating, especially, is that not only does the weight of the camper equate to the towable or the tow rating, but also things that go against that are, in these smaller vehicles, the tongue weight. It also, the people in the cargo that are in the vehicle as well, that goes against the tow rating in a lot of these cases. You've got to look at that, because I think the easiest way to figure that out is, and I'm just going to try to make it a general term, and this term really isn't factual, okay? I'm just using it to generalize. If you have in your owner's manual where it tells you that your let's just say that your gross vehicle weight rating is 5,000 pounds, but your gross combined weight rating is, just say, I'm just going to use a roundabout number, let's say 7,000 pounds, and you have a 1,500 pound payload. that's where they get into that you're able to tow 3,500 pounds. Because what they're doing is they're saying that you have 1,500 pounds of payload, plus you have the 2,000 pounds between the gross vehicle weight rating and your gross combined weight rating. So in the event that you had nobody in the vehicle, you could tow 3,500 pounds. Now, they'll go through things and then they'll explain to you that, okay, payload, 1,500 pound payload, your tongue weight of whatever vehicle that you're towing or trailer that you're towing goes against your payload, as do the people in cargo and so forth. And understand one thing, these smaller vehicles are not going to have a 1,500 pound payload. I was really exaggerating it, just trying to go ahead and bring it in the simplest terms. Most of these smaller vehicles are going to have less than 1,000 pounds of payload. So always look at that. If your gross combined weight rating is, if your unloaded vehicle weight rating is 3,500 pounds less than a gross combined weight rating, then that's how you know that the payload and your payload goes against your tow rating. If, in fact, you have a gross combined weight rating, and again, I'm just going to use a 3,500 again, and it could be any number at that point. If your gross combined weight rating, if you subtract your tow rating, which would be, let's say, 3,500 pounds, from that, and it comes up to be your gross vehicle weight rating, then you know that your payload does not go against your tow capacity. That is probably the simplest way to figure out whether the payload goes against it or not. It's very, very simple. But what I hate to see, and I hate it when people that have 3,500 pound tow ratings, they get conned into buying something that's 3,000 pounds, a dry weight. And it might even say 2,800 pounds a dry weight, and that's before any options or anything. And you haven't even taken into consideration propane, battery, any of your cargo in your camper. You could have a 3,300 pounds of a trailer towing behind somebody that can tow 3,500 pounds. And what happens is they don't have the braking ability that they should have for stopping something that heavy. They also is typically these vehicles that have a 3,500 pound tow rating, it is a unibody construction. So it's not like these class 3 receivers are connected to an actual steel frame. So there's not there. On top of that, and a lot of people don't even understand this, is that when you have a 3,500 pound tow rating, typically your tongue weight is 10% of your tow rating. So in this case, it's going to be 350 pounds. If you have a camper that weighs, and I'm just going to use a hypothetical, let's say 3,000, let's say it has a 3,500 gross vehicle weight rating. Chances are that dry weight is going to exceed 350 pounds. Now, what I mean dry weight with your LP and battery on it. And then, of course, you got to take into consideration, okay, how much other stuff am I going to be putting in there? And adding a percentage of that to that tongue weight. So always have a dealership weigh that. If they do not have the ability to weigh that, I don't know that I would necessarily deal with a dealership that doesn't actually weigh their tongue weights, because that is a critical part of towing safety, is to actually know what that is. To sit there and go by what the manufacturer says online, and I've seen those things be off anywhere from 100 pounds upwards of 300, 400, 500 pounds, just depending on the unit. Do not risk your life or your family's safety because of just a minor detail like that. That could be a critical part of the equation and what you're looking at. Now, also contrary, and we'll be covering this in another one, another podcast, and I plan on getting on a few different people within these weight distribution manufacturers, Reese, Blue Oxy's, different ones out there, to have them come on and give you, so that you hear basically, you're going to hear some of the same thing I'm talking about. Weight distribution does not lower the tongue weight that is on the ball on your vehicle, contrary to what some people might tell you. So do not fall prey to that. Now, why am I so cautious about with people that have these tow vehicles and what they're going to be towing? Because the last thing I want to do is be the cause of your having a transmission blow up on you. You have an, if you have a truck having a rear end, whatever the case may be, or God forbid you have an accident. Because you've got to remember, I know there's one guy, he's famous. He's up there in Canada, and boy, I'll tell you what, he has people in minivans, sedans, all kinds of things, towing these trailers that they shouldn't be towing with their vehicles, but they don't have the same type of liabilities things that we have in America. And so by me giving you this information, what I'm doing is lessening the chance that you're going to run up against an issue that in the event that you were in an accident and it was your fault, somebody coming after you because you were towing something that was beyond the specifications of your vehicle. And don't think that you're going to be able to go back to the RV dealer and blame them, because majority of these RV dealers, they have a sheet of paper that you sign saying that you totally understand your weight capabilities and your tow ratings and all that specifications for your tow vehicle. That is how they get around that. Although they might have told you something different, that's how they get around it. So keep that in mind. So weight distribution does not lower the tongue weight. Bottom line, you can go ahead and look it up. Go on Airstream website. They have right on there. Equalizer has it on there. And there's a bunch of other places that have it. WaySafe, that's another weight distribution website. They all have it on there. Where the heck these people, and I know there's some forums out there that tell you that they do. I don't know where they come up with this information, because it's not factual whatsoever. So anyway, the other thing you've got to understand is, with that being said, is now when you're going up in the bigger trucks, next you're going to go up to like 6,500. The next biggest one, and we run into this a lot as well, is people will come in with a Toyota Tundra. And I know some of the people selling those things sell it like it's a 3/4 ton truck, can tow 10,000 pounds. And that's all well and good. Here's your problem. And I know that there's people that have been out there that have had this issue. They went and bought a truck camper for Toyota Tundra, not understanding payload. Payload typically in these Toyota Tundras is somewhere between 1,300, maybe 1,250 to about 1,400 pounds, somewhere in that range. That's not a lot of weight. When you're looking at, let's say you want to tow a 7,000 pound trailer because you could tow 10. Well, the tongue weight on that trailer could be bumping up or exceeding 1,000 pounds. So let's just say you had a tongue weight of 1,000 pounds, you're towing that. Now you only have the 300, 250 to 300 pounds left in your payload. That's people, pets, cargo, and things that you're going to be putting in your vehicle. So that's important as well. So let's talk about a couple of things here. When you're going, if you're going to go look and buy a truck or a tow vehicle, don't just ask what the tow rating is. You want to know what the payload is. That's very critical. Your payload sticker is inside the door panel. It's the tire. It's basically your tire specification sticker, and it'll have your payload, cargo carrying capacity, whatever you want to call it. That's the one that's white yellow and red. That gives you the payload. We see a number of times people with 3/4 ton diesels that only have roughly 2,100 pounds of payload. And that's it. I had a gentleman come in. He had a little over 1,900 pounds payload in his, I forget if it was a Dodge. I think it was, yeah, it was a Dodge Ram 2500 diesel. It was a little over 1,900 pound payload. I mean, heck, I have a half-ton truck that has 1,869 pounds of payload. I mean, now it's a gas. Obviously, if you have a Dodge Ram gas 3/4 ton truck, it's going to have, those could be in the upper 2,000, maybe even low 3,000 pound payload. However, then they don't have the tow rating that a diesel would have. Those are very critical when you're going out to look at something, because that's going to limit you if you're looking at a fifth wheel, whether you're looking at a truck camper. I had a gentleman, case in point, I had a gentleman come in looking to get a truck camper. He couldn't even handle the quote half-ton towable truck campers because of his payload. Keep that in mind. And contrary to some people might tell you, putting airbags on the back of your on your truck, on the rear truck, beefing up the rear end, it does not change your tow rating. The only people that can change your tow rating would be the manufacturer. And some of these aftermarket vendors, whoever you want to call them, outfitters that put these extra aftermarket things on your truck, they're not following the guidelines and putting a sticker inside your door letting you know the additional weight that they put on your truck, which will go against your payload. So you got to be careful with that. By the way, if anybody has any questions on this, put them down below and I'll do my best to answer your questions. What I do is I'm going to give you my professional and my personal opinion on something. And then what you do with it, that's totally up to you. I have seen people buy a 38-foot travel trailer because their Ford F-150 can tow 14,000 pounds, only to find out that it was a little bit too much camper. Length is the other issue that you need to, that's the other part of the equation when you're looking at travel trailers behind a truck. Your half-ton trucks, I mean, maximum, absolute maximum would be maybe 34 feet. And for some people, that's still too much. But to go and try to tow something that's 36 to 38 feet behind a half-ton truck is crazy. The tail wagging the dog is a true story. So be very, very cautious when you're out there looking at campers, and make sure that you have the proper weight of the camper, regular weight, your tongue weight. Make sure you have the right brake controller for the system, for your vehicle. Make sure that you have the right weight distribution with sway control. Stay tuned, because next week we're going to be talking about weight distribution, because a lot of people get things, they get sway bars mixed up with spring bars, and we're going to go through all that. So, but I appreciate everybody watching this. I hope you learned a little bit. Comment below. Let me know if you did learn anything. Let me know if you have any questions. And if there is a topic that you would like me to cover, if there's somebody that you feel that I should interview because it would be beneficial to the audience listening for this, to help them so they can go make memories that last a lifetime, I'd be more than happy to entertain those interviews, try to grab those people or those topics. This is all about you all. And by the way, also, if you have any campers that you would like a review done on, or how-to videos, put that down in the comments as well. I'm here to serve you all, and I do appreciate every one of you that watches and listenings, or that's watching and or listening on the streaming services out there. So you all go have a great day, and I'll be back at you again next week, same time, same bat channel. Take care.